everybody. Thank y'all for tuning in for the first Q&A and the first real full video on the RV in the Way channel. Happy for y'all to be here. We're going to be answering a few questions that we got in the trailer and just that I've had over time ever since we started RVing. So we're just going to get right into those. So the first question we're going to get into is, how did y'all meet and what's y'all favorite thing about each other? We both worked at Walmart together, and there was no, romantic relationship there at all. It was just us doing work things and minding our business. It didn't happen until months later, after I had stopped working at Walmart, that we reconnected on a dating app, and then just continued to further the relationship from there. Our favorite things about each other, I would have to say, well, from my end, it would probably just be the loyalty and persistence. It's the fact of it's really hard to find nowadays with our generation, and so that's one thing that just stood out to me really big. When we first started dating, I had left my air fryer back in Texas, and we got together in Alabama. And once I went to Alabama, I left my air fryer, and she managed to grab me a 6-quart air fryer just as a surprise gift. We weren't even really dating at the time, and it was just a really big deal for me as I had never dated anyone with a job. And so that was probably my favorite thing, just the loyalty and ability to overcome. So the next question will be from Carrie AG, and it was, did we have these plans before meeting each other? And simply said, no, we didn't have these plans at all before meeting each other. It was I would say 8 months to a year into the relationship once we even found out people lived in RVs. We had never even known that, and that was never on our radar. People living in RVs or full-time RV living, or even just nomadic living in general. It had never crossed my mind, or hers for that matter. She had never traveled much, and so there was never really a need for it there. But since I was traveling, she was very much down for the ride. And so the next question is from Uno Smooth, and it's, have y'all tried any memorable exotic foods? And so this one is funny if you kind of know me on a personal level already. I have a lot of allergies, so exotic foods really aren't a thing in my book. I mean, I try to eat what I can, but I have so many allergies that it kind of just cross those things off the table. I kind of just stay in my realm, and every now and then I'll find a little something here or there, or maybe get a recipe from somebody at a campground. Like, for example, Miss Tina Reed, she gave me a recipe for some ribs, and I'll put a clip in the video right here. And yeah, I haven't tried anything exotic just because of my allergies and limited diet. But for KK, she's lactose intolerant, so also her diet is pretty much just, it isn't as limited as mine, but usually once you get into pricing and things, and she doesn't eat that much, so we usually just end up sharing. Yeah, that's about my realm of it. I can't really try too many exotic foods just because of allergies. So catapulting right into the next question from BJ Finley 1438, and his question was, how hard is it to find food with all your allergies? And it's not too hard if I'm just doing grocery shopping. I'm really good with groceries and just getting kind of essential foods because of my allergies. I'm allergic to dairy, wheat, seafood, shellfish, tree nuts, and probably some more things that I forgot to mention. But yeah, there's a lot of allergies involved, and since that's the case, I just kind of do grocery shopping, not much eating out. And if we do, it's usually like a Bojangles or a Zaxby's, maybe a Wingstop. It's usually just wings or chicken places, mainly just grocery shopping. And it's always easy to find a grocery store. It's not too far, whether it be here or there, or maybe just beef jerky and something. But it hasn't been too hard with my allergies, I would say, unless you get to a campground and you don't plan. But we're pretty good at prepping for that reason, so we haven't run into too much trouble. Next question is going to be from Gideon, and it was, what made you just go off the grid, so to speak? Like, what made y'all become like nomadic travelers? And simply speaking, it was a change in living situation. We were staying in an apartment in Galveston, Texas, and things just weren't working out. We were paying $1,000 a month for an apartment that was falling apart. We were doing all the maintenance and fixing ourselves, even though you signed a contract under a lease that says if things break, they will fix. It wasn't that way, and it's usually not that way in a lot of people's cases. If y'all can relate, comment below. But we were just spending so much money, and also money on repairs. I was doing roofing work for an independent contractor, and he stayed in the RV. I had to take him home one day, and I realized he stayed in the RV lot for about $700 a month, and that was less than what we were staying. And his home was on wheels, so he could always move the home. That just kind of blew me away. He had it was like 3 bedrooms pretty much, and I'm like, you're doing the same maintenance and everything, but you can also move the home. And there's plenty of cheaper ones also out there. There's some to do $500 a month, $450 a month, $600 a month, etc. And that just got us looking into the RV lifestyle. And once I saw the possibilities and the options that you have, it was just up from there. It was all about acquiring the trailer and just starting the lifestyle, just being prepared. Steamrolling right into the next question from Young Orbit 674. How long did it take you to save up for all of it, and how did you have an income while traveling like you are? So we didn't really save up for it. Like I said, it was a change of living situation. We hadn't known about it. If we had known about it prior, I would have saved up for it, no doubt. But just with situational circumstance and how things happen, we weren't prepared at all. We didn't save up. I had a Nissan Armada, a V8, 6.7 liter engine inside, so it has pretty good towing power. But my mom had paid that off previously, years prior, and so I had owned that vehicle. And my girlfriend, KK, had a Kia Rio that had previously been in an accident where the repairs would cost just as much as the value of the car pretty much. And so we decided to sell it right in time that we found out about RV living and that lifestyle. And so the money from the car, we just used a portion of that to get the RV and left a cushion of room. That way, if things did go wrong, or if we needed extra parts or pieces, gas money and stuff like that while towing, we had a little extra money left over. And so that was our way of getting the income for the trailer right off the bat. And on the back end of that question, how do we fund the places that we're staying while we're traveling? There's plenty of ways to make money now online. You have things like DoorDash and survey sites, and there's so many options to make money online that it's pretty much endless. Whatever you want to do, you can kind of do nowadays, as we all know. And we would just DoorDash from place to place. Every big city, we would just plan to get to that city, get enough money to get to that city, and some extra, obviously, as a cushion. And then we just DoorDash there until we have money to make it to the next big city. And so it's all about just taking everything in stride, not thinking too much about it, and not making it more stressful than it has to be. But, just doing little gig jobs or having a work ethic to go and work at a McDonald's for 2 weeks to get to the next place. It's all about your work ethic and how much you want it, because there's always money out there being printed, money out there to be made. It's just if you want to go make it. So the next question is going to be from Quando1K245. And he asks, what was your favorite destination so far? And so I would have to easily say, well, not easily, but my destination so far would have to be Metropolis, Illinois. Between there and the land between the lakes, between Kentucky and Tennessee, one of those. We've been to different places, as I'll answer in the later question, but that was probably my favorite. The place in Illinois, it was just such a beautiful campground within 5-minute walk of a dispensary, and had great bass fishing, like 30 seconds walk from the campsite. It was amazing. And land between the lakes, we got to go see a bison prairie, some caribou, and that was just unbelievable. Never in my lifetime that I think I'll ever see some bison so up close, and it was just so serene being back in the campsite. But it was a free camp spot just because there was no electricity or anything back there. We had a generator, and it was just really tucked off back in there. I caught a fish there as well, just one, but just the camp spot was so different and so tucked back. And there were so many things to go see while we were there. It was incredible. It's definitely a place we're gonna have to go back to one day, just to really experience it with more money and more exploration. So the next question is from Hayden Johnson, and he asked, what all states have y'all been to so far? And that's a hard question when you're RVing, just because you can pass through a state just driving through, or you can stop and stay at a state for overnight, or you can stop and stay at a state for, say, 2 weeks, or maybe get a work camp job where you are, and so you'll end up staying for months. But for us, I would title staying somewhere. It's probably been there for longer than a week, maybe longer than 3 days, just depends on situations. But we definitely stayed in Texas, obviously, Louisiana for a good bit, Alabama and Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Illinois. We stayed in Minnesota, North Dakota. We was right on the border of those, and Fargo. If you know where Fargo is, it's no, not Fargo. Grand Forks. It's right on the border between North Dakota and Minnesota. So right there in between those two. And other than that, it was just, yeah, those are all the states we visited. For the most part, we just drove through Iowa and a lot of other states like Oklahoma, just trying to get back to Texas. So I don't really count those because we didn't really stay and see much. But yeah, we still have a lot more to see, and we still want to double down and go see a lot of those places again, just because we didn't get to explore how we wanted. Next question is going to be, how do y'all find somewhere to camp, and how do y'all pay for it? And so a lot of places, like I said, you have the DoorDashing that you can do just for staying somewhere and moving to the next place. But if you want to kind of go to a state and kind of explore thoroughly and really get to see what it has to offer, there's plenty of work camping opportunities where you can work at a park and interact with just the guests and the kids for pretty much either a monthly rate or for free. Some jobs will cover your rent, utilities, shower, laundry, and you also get paid on top of that. And by no means is it a way to get rich. It's just a way to sustain while you're staying in a place and have enough money to move on after the job is done. So people get it confused a lot, and they think this is where I can get a whole bunch of money, get really rich, and live my life. But that's not the case. You can really enjoy the places you go to before you move on to the next one and make connections and networking that otherwise you couldn't have made. And so in my eyes, there's never really too much of a negative, because any hardships you encounter on the road, you would have encountered at an apartment or a house. Either way, that's just the way I see it. Next and final question is from Fish, and it's, what's something you learned about yourself or the world you didn't know before the journey? And I really say this question because I loved it. It was probably my favorite question out of all of them. And what I really learned about the world is it's small and massive at the same time. There's so many people you haven't met just milling about everywhere all the time. And there's so many people that you have met or have seen that you will probably see again one day. And I think for me, that really struck a chord with the fact of we never know when we're going to leave the planet. And you're really just trying to make a mark. Everyone's trying to do the same thing, make a mark, I guess be important and just be somebody. But just being able to make connections here, make connections there, meet people, gain experiences that you wouldn't otherwise get going anywhere else. I think I just learned that the world is just so open and forgiving. As much as it's unforgiving, it's just as forgiving. And as many hardships as you would go through in life, in an apartment or a house, you will go through the same ones on the road. I feel like a part of us in our DNA that just yearns for that exploration, that travel. That's why so many people live vicariously through travel channels. But that's just my opinion on it. And I feel like that's just the most impactful thing for me, just how many bonds and friendships I've made at these campgrounds and that I just otherwise would have never made. And now I'll see these people again in the future and maybe grow, bond, become family just from this one encounter of me being on the road, which otherwise would not have happened more than likely. And so that's all we got for today. That's all the questions I have wrote down. If you have any more, leave them on this video and we'll get to them maybe halfway through the year once we get back on the road some more. And stay tuned. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and check out our shorts and our other videos if you haven't.